Whether on premise, hybrid or in the cloud, RCS gives broadcasters the tools and support to create, schedule, manage and deliver content with confidence. RCS is the trusted leader for audio professionals. Today, we learn more about a radio guy who's been in his market for more years than he'll admit, dominated on numerous radio stations and still makes his city laugh every day. His name is Steve Graham.
That's a great classic Spice Girl song.
So 90s.
Yes.
Shall we?
If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Make it last forever.
I'm just thinking. So you got Sporty Spice, Scary Spice, there's Baby Spice, Ginger Spice, and Posh Spice. Yes. And who's that just over there with the record? That's called Daggy Spice.
I think you'll find that's called Rock and Recorder Spice.
Let's see with Daggy, everybody.
Hi and welcome to the Quarter Hour Podcast. I'm your host, Liam Renton, and Newcastle listeners will know the name Steve Graham after his radio tour of duty on New FM, NXFM, KOFM, and now Triple M in Newcastle. Once part of the famous Garth and Steve radio show, he's now been on air with Tanya Wilkes for over a decade. So how does he keep up the energy, the enthusiasm, and the creativity? Steve Graham, welcome to the Quarter Hour Podcast.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Really good. I'm baffled by the fact that you were a professional fisherman before you were on the radio. How? Take us through it.
Dad left Sydney, moved to Redcliffe, just north of Brisbane, bought a prawn trawl, decided to fish, and was the life for him. And I was hopeless at school. I found out years later, ADHD, the list is endless. But so I left school when I was 14, year 9, went on to the prawn trawler, and the rest was 10 years of professional fishing.
What do you remember about radio growing up? Did you have a station that you used to listen to?
My biggest memory and youngest memory was a guy called Wayne Pooh. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 4BK? And I just remember not only hearing him, and I thought he was the funniest guy in the world, sound effects, the old school. So yeah, that was my earliest memory.
So you're on a trawler. When did you make the decision to switch to radio?
I used to keep the guys awake over the radio at night, say 2 a.m, the witching hours, we'd call it. And I'd just get on there and do voices, the Scooby-Doos, whatever, just to muck around. And I went to Mackay and started at a factory bagging chook fertiliser. And I went into a pub there one night, and it was going to come on stage, do what you do. They all pushed me up on stage, just did what I did, talk. Later on, same pub, guy who owned 4MK came up to me and said, "Oh, mate, you've been doing this for a while." I went, "No, dude, no, I just come off a boat." So I went into the station on Monday. He said, "Oh, come in." And did a few recordings, but nothing came of it. But that was it. The seed was planted.
Yeah. First radio job, and then where'd you go from there?
I did Air TV after that with John Knox. Halfway through, he said, "Mate, I'm just going to get you a job." So he rang 4GY Gympie, put me on nights, and then I was on breakfast 5 months after starting in radio. And because Gympie went to Noosa, lots of people holidayed in Noosa, including PDs from Brisbane. So they're driving around hearing this guy, and I get a phone call, B105. Down I go, mid-dawns. And I just kept going, what? This is easy. And then Stereo 10 collapsed, previous 4IP. They relaunched, and they were looking for a night guy, bit of fun, that kind of thing. Bang, went from Dawns there to 4IP. Another guy on holidays from Newcastle rang, who I've kind of met a few times. So I went 4IP Brisbane, down to New FM, Newcastle. Ended up breakfast with Garth and Steve show was doing really well. Again, we were together 8 months, and next minute we're launching the new Triple M in Adelaide. Breakfast.
In such a short period of time?
I was from literal my first time in a radio studio, fake it till you make it, I tell you, to breakfast Triple M launch, 18 months.
So you go to Adelaide. How come you left Adelaide? Because you went back to Newcastle after Adelaide.
Well, I can tell you because I was watching your chat with one Duncan Campbell, and Duncan had just taken over the network and had decided to put Richard Stubbs around the network on Triple M Breakfast. And it was a ta-da to you guys, thanks for your time, from Duncan. But I always look back and go, I can't tell you how hard I cried. The first survey, your satellite show dropped 8 points. It just failed dismally. And so I came back to Newcastle and started at New FM there, and then ended up at Hit, Steve and Kim, and Garth and Steve there for a little bit there. And then onwards from just onwards from that. And again, we're talking chunks of 8 to 10 years here. And so
Talk to me about that original on-air partnership. What was it that broke you and Garth up?
good question. 10 years. And it was literally, Garth's always been, what else is out there? What else is out there? He loved his acting, and he just wanted to pursue something else. And I'm the other way, where I'm happy to pursue something else, but I need a paycheck. I need to know where my next dollar's coming from. And he's brave enough. He just would bounce and go off and do auditions and hope for the best and things like that. And so, yeah, it wasn't a fight or it wasn't a fallout. It was a bit of a peter out, to be honest with you.
You've been the number one in every show you've done. What's your secret? How are you so good at radio?
It's hard to answer when, it's about yourself, so I'll answer it from what people tell me. And it's because I don't bullshit, because it's very, very clear, very, very early that he's just been him. And I think, I used to jokingly say, hi, I'm the Povo Kyle. Because, he seems to be making millions. I don't, but we've got a similar attitude. Not necessarily style, but it's just say it, just because it's so rare in media. Everyone's trying to be somebody else. Everyone's trying to go, what should the audience like to hear from me now? And in the end, if you win with that attitude, then you don't win. It's not you. So every time if it is success in my life, it was me that got it. I just don't bullshit. That's the best thing I can tell you, is I'm very honest, and I'm a big fan of saying I like to be a part of the group that brought off air on air. That's what people love. Behind the curtain.
I've also got a theory that sometimes I think, and you're one of those unicorns in regards to a lot of us, that's all we've done is radio.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're those radio nerds and we love it. But you actually had another life.
That's a very valid point. I still really honestly in my heart regard myself as a media person. Of course I am. I've been in the game so long, but I don't. It's still just me, Steve the fisherman, but I'm in a radio studio with my mates. And I look at anything, and we talk about fake news, we talk about click grabs, all of that we see now. And I keep telling people that that's not the news, that's the news they're giving you. Why don't you get on and talk about something you're interested in? Because I'm telling you now, people driving to work, they don't care about that either. Only the media care about that. And if you watch news or read news now, the first 4 stories, you don't give a shit. Yeah, they tell you, oh, you should give a shit about this. So I don't. So I go on the attitude of, and particularly now there's so many platforms, more now than ever before, radio's up for a fight. If you're going to go on and regurge stuff that people can get on their phone as soon as they wake up or they see daily or they scroll through, you're heading down a bad slope. Because you're repeating what they've already know or seen. So you've got to come from you.
Yeah, it's almost like stay in your own lane, create your own lane.
Create your own lane, pretty much. My current boss, Jace, I know certainly says, well, I'm not sure if he was the first, but he always says when we talk about that kind of thing, he goes, you guys are the headline if you want to be. And it's just, he means that jokingly going, just tell your own stories, your own things. Don't tell stories that the media are telling you to tell.
All right, 30-something years on the radio. What have you gotten wrong?
Oh, hang on. I've got a list just down in the dungeon. Regret. The paycheck meant more than my, call it morality or bravery and mortgages and family. I regret and I did wrong that I accepted some things and things happened to me that I would not in a million years let happen to me now. And it was fear of unemployment. And I say that because any job you can get fired from, but media is dodgier. And back in the old days, there was no HRs and things like that, or no legal, So yeah, I regret a lot. There's quite a few things I've let go or accepted or have happened to me that not in a million years would that happen now.
RCS Academy helps broadcasters build practical skills across Zeta, G-Selector and Acquirer. With self-paced online training and certification, teams can strengthen their knowledge, improve workflows and get more value from the technology they use every day. Whether you're onboarding new staff or developing experienced users, RCS Academy makes professional training simple and accessible. To sign up for RCS Academy, contact RCS today. What I'm super impressed about when I hear you on the radio, I see you on socials, is your honesty about mental health. You talk about it like it's normal. You talk about it like the price of bread. You just talk about it.
Yeah, I do. My key little thing is, we've got to normalize it more, because I always say if I had a bandage around my head with a bit of blood here, he'd be like, oh my God, have a day off, mate. But because you can't see mental health, we're just human beings. We react on what we see. Someone walks in completely normal, but it's all happening up here in the head. You don't see it, so it's harder to see it's real.
I've heard you talk about the medication you take. I've heard you talk about your father passing. That's pure vulnerability, Steve.
Yeah.
And people can't fake that, and people can't do it.
It's funny you say that. Only recently there was a young fella doing the rounds on social media, just crying, going, "I'm so bloody lonely," and he blew up, of course. But the core of it was they were saying he was brave, and as you just mentioned with me, and I say, nah, he was desperate. If you're crying into a camera, going, "I'm so lonely," that's not brave, actually. That's desperation.
For yourself, you thought you were in a state of desperation when you were talking about that sort of stuff?
Yeah, very, very, very much. I think it got to the point the older I got, and I have read since, though, mental health, if not looked after. I was diagnosed ADHD only 10 years ago. I just thought, isn't everyone like this? I was just feeling down too much. It wasn't right. I went and did the little test and off to the psychiatrist, and then she gave me the medication, and I didn't take it for a month. Because I thought, it's going to make me numb. It's going to be like Valium, whatever it is. So one weekend, I was sitting at the back and I went, oh, well, if I'm not doing anything, I'll take it. I think about an hour and a half later, I went, oh, and the noise stopped. And I'm like, oh. And when the noise stopped more and more, I was less tired. And as the week went on, energy was lifting. Clearer thoughts. I personally believe performing much better on a show because it was clear thoughts and I was focusing on what others were telling me and I was listening hard. Whereas, you could be talking to me 20 years ago and I'd hear half of what you said. And so that would, and I'd respond to that. And I managed to make that work. So at the end of the day, you can get a lot of depression if, the world's going a little crazy.
You've had a good run with Tanya Wilkes,
Yep.
who we described as the Queen of Newcastle radio.
I better get King, because if you called me Prince, you'd be like, oh, I don't think so. Have a look at the wrinkles.
You're the court jester, aren't you, from what I hear? But tell me about that relationship. You obviously have hit the sweet spot there and it just works so well.
If you really narrow it down, what it is something will happen. I will look at her, she will look at me, and we'll grin. Not a word. Now that's when you know what I mean? Not a word. I got in her a female. I don't know too many of her type for female, if you know what I mean. And she got a male that she's like, God, you really just thoughtful or think of things, or I'm a big analyzer of people. And she often says, so I'm using her words, she goes, that guy that always puts the mirror up to you. So, she might say to me, I'm this, and this, and I'm going, no, you're not. You're that, and that. She'll be like, yeah, right, I shut up. And with her, a genuine empathy of when you're going through stuff. I don't have to tell her too much for her. I can sometimes see her eyes water. You know what I mean? She's like, oh, wow, okay. And when you've got someone who understands, that's a big thing. I always say you get one Garth, you get one Tanya in your life. You know what I mean? Like on those levels. Like you get one Steve, and in her case, you want one David, on those levels of that connection.
When I see you two together, I think you two must know that you don't want to sit opposite each other in a staff meeting or at a funeral, because one eye contact the wrong way and it's over. You're
Absolutely. I will do everything to make her laugh.
so good.
And Tanya, I always tell people, Tanya's her funniest, without question, when she has no idea she's being funny.
When you listen to radio today, no matter what market, what are you hearing that others get wrong that you'd like to fix?
Trying to be popular every time. I'll listen and go, you don't believe that. What are you doing? Because you'll get caught out. You'll eventually get caught out because you're going to try and pretend to be this, because that's the way everyone wants it. That's popular. You'll get caught out. If you're not your true self, they'll find you out somehow. And I hear that a lot. And then I'll hear other young players that think if you just keep saying fuck a lot, they'll think I'm edgy. It's like, nah, everyone can say fuck. So I think, if you look at it, my heroes, it was the wrong word, but if you look at successful radio people, and I put Ricky Gervais in this as well, because he was on it, The Howard Sterns, the Kyles, the Ricky Gervaises, and they all had one thing in common: no bullshit. And I love to have that in common with them. It's just unfortunate that I'm the Povo version. So if they do something that I said 10 years ago and I go, hey, what are you trying to be, Ricky Gervais now, Steve? But we do have it. The point is, we do have a similar way of thinking.
If you can nutshell it in one memory, what's your favourite radio memory from the last 3 decades?
Oh, wow. There was one where my kids lived overseas, okay? A Dutch wife who went back home. So my 2 eldest children were at one stage, I think Jasmine was 5 and my son Tim was 7. And I was on air. We were doing a public show. I think it was an end of year show. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they'd flown them over and I had no idea.
Wow.
No idea. And normally I'm onto something. And we're just chatting away and they cleverly, and it was Derek Bargwana, by the way, too, DV, who was on my show at the time with him. And he said, oh, look, mate, we know, your kids are on the other side of the world. We know how tough that is for you, but we've got a message. So they've played a message, which teared me up. That was enough. Next minute, oh, and by the way, they're here. And they came down. Wow, 2 Robbie Williams angels. So, look, there's so many great memories, but you can't beat that. Speechless. And again, the brain of Derek Bargwana, and more to the point, why he is where he is, more to the point, in a Newcastle radio station to go, by the way, we'll be flying out these for one show. And he could get it done. Incredible. I'll always give DV a plug for that, as much as he never gives me a plug for everything he taught Kyle and Jack came from me. I'll get you, DV.
Mate, what a story. I could talk to you forever. I've loved chatting with you. Thank you so much. And Steve Graham, thank you for joining us on the Quarter Hour podcast.
Mate, it's been a pleasure. And don't forget to remember the old adage, radio announcers never die. They just start a podcast.
Don't we just?
Oh, yeah.